Hi everyone, it's time for my cat hat tutorial. So I'm going to get straight into it. You need two colors for this striped beanie. This one is a cotton yarn, and then this yellow one is an acrylic yarn. And then you also need a crochet hook. I'm using a 4mm hook for this one, and you'll need a darning needle and a pair of scissors. So first off, I'm going to show you how to make a slip knot in a couple of different ways, so you can just follow this one. And if this one looks too confusing, I have another one coming up for you. And if that one doesn't work for you either, feel free to go find a YouTube video, because you can also do a slip knot with a crochet hook. You don't have to use your fingers, but these are the ways that are the easiest for me. So once you have that done, you should go download the pattern if you would like to. I release my patterns on a pay what you can basis, and they are always free, but still pay what you can before I release the video for it. But once the video is out, they become 99 cents, which I still think is a good deal. But if it's not for you, I have everything included in this video. This is what the pattern looks like. I think it's pretty simple and easy to read. It is print friendly because there are no colors, it's just black and white. So we're going to start off with is 3 chains, because we're going to be doing a foundation double crochet. And if you need a more in-depth version of a foundation double crochet, I would be happy to make a short follow-up video or a playlist with all of the basics of crochet. Just let me know if that would be helpful. But basically all you do is yarn over, and you go into the first chain, and then you yarn over and then perform the rest of the double crochet. So basically it's like you're doing the chain and the double crochet at the same time. I think my pattern might say something a little bit different, but I highly recommend just doing a foundation double crochet, because it goes by way faster and nobody really likes working into the chain. I know I don't. So then now I'm just showing you where you should be putting that first chain and then double crochet. It is kind of confusing, but I would say it's basically that second V-stitch from where you're already working. Here I am showing you the measurement for the beanie. I believe my head measurement was somewhere around 26 with my twists. I have different hairstyles, so it changes how I want my hats to fit. But as you can see, I crocheted it to where it sits normally at 23, and then it stretches all the way to 26 to 27 inches. So if you're working off of your measurements, I would say just decrease it by about 3 inches, because the hat will stretch, and if you do it to exactly your measurements, it's gonna be too big. So then the next thing that I'm doing once I finish that first row is just putting on the second color. And again, this is a no-sew beanie, so you will be able to see the color changes, but it is very minimal, and it's kind of just the price you have to pay when it comes to the convenience of not sewing in every single color. But honestly, I like the way it looks, and I wear my hats like this. Nobody's ever noticed it. Nobody cares if you can see a couple of where the color changes are. Whenever I switch my colors, I will not complete my stitch and then pick up the next color and complete it with that next color. And also I would recommend just crocheting over your tail so that you don't have to sew that in, or you don't have to weave that in. I think it's really convenient, and it just saves you time at the end. You only have to weave in about 2 strands of yarn at the end of your project if you crochet over your tails here. And then here I am just showing you how to do a double crochet. It's a yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And I've showed it a few times so that a beginner should be able to follow this tutorial. But again, if you need a in-depth and detailed video on just double crochet or just foundation double crochet, I would be happy to post that. I actually might end up doing it eventually. Hopefully this is a clear enough piece of footage on how to do the double crochets, but there are no increases in this project. It's literally just a rectangle that is crochet in the round. Sometimes I'll add a few increases at the top just because I want my cat ears to be a little bit bigger. Alright, so now we're at the end of the second round, and this will be me showing you how I switch those colors. So I'm going to go into my first stitch, but I'm not going to finish it with the yellow. I'm going to drop that, and I'm going to pick up the blue and chain 2. And that is how I'm going to switch every row to get that striped effect, but not have to weave in those ends. And I will also remind you that you should be dropping those tails on the same side. So just to keep the seam straight, I flip my work every round, but it can get confusing. So if you can't do that, just work in the round, but make sure that those tails are on the inside of your work, because then you're gonna get a really weird seam if your yellow is on the outside and the blue is on the inside. But after you switch those colors, it's already secure, so then you'll just double crochet until you get to the end of the round. Alright, here I am at the end of round 3, and I'm just showing you what it looks like to get to the end of that round. And I'll show you one more time what it means to pick up that back color and you don't finish the stitch. So you go into the little V that was at the beginning of the round, drop the first color. And this is what I mean when I was saying like the tails can get confusing because we're on the inside of the work. But since I'm flipping it, you know, I had to bring the blue on the inside, but I did not finish the stitch with the blue. I finished it with yellow, and then I go and chain 2. And if you need, you can go rewind to go see how I did these color changes, because after this I'll be showing you what the hat looked like when it was at the length that I wanted for my head. I'll have the chapters marked out. First of all though, I'm not gonna lie, I did get caught in the Love Island trap, but after watching this season, you know, I had to see it through even though I didn't finish it. I still have 2 episodes left, and it is July 26th as I'm recording this. But yeah, I will never be watching Love Island again, I'm not gonna lie. I know there's a reason that I don't ever fall victim to any popular shows, because yeah, that was messy. Reality TV is not my thing. But anyway, this is what the hat looks like once it's already done. And as you can see, I've already flipped up the brim. I just check it on my head to see if it's the length that I want. But now I'm showing you that this is what the hat looks like when it is unfolded. It's honestly pretty long. I'm gonna put the number on screen of the rows that I did. But if you're trying to do a folded up brim, this is about how many rows you should do. But I would also say just measure from the crown of your head to the top of your eyebrows, and that will be about the length that you need for your hat. So then now I'm showing you how you can finish the hat. Again, this is no sew, so we're going to be doing it with a front bar, back bar, single crochet, if that makes sense. So I'm showing you here, you're going to grab the front bar of the first stitch and the back bar of that last stitch, and then you're going to just do a regular single crochet, and you just do a go into the stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 for a single crochet. And I feel like I'm living up to that tutorial stereotype of blocking everything with my hands, but I really tried to show what stitches I'm going into. If this is still confusing, please let me know, because I have no problem refilming it. To my trained eye, I feel like I can see, but you know, I'm not a beginner anymore. and I want to help beginners with this tutorial. So let me know if it's hard to see, but yeah, I'm going into the front bar of that V-stitch and then the back bar of the parallel V-stitch behind it, and I'm doing a single crochet. And then this is just how I'm gonna close off the entire hat. It should be pretty self-explanatory at this point, but of course, if you need to, I have the chapters marked out. You should be able to rewind or slow the video down if I'm going too fast. And this is what it's like at the end of it. You just cut a long tail so that you're able to weave it in. And that is how you only have 2 ends to weave in. So this is what the seam looks like. As you can see, you can kind of tell where the color changes are, but the majority of that is on the inside of the hat, so nobody is going to see it, and it's just more convenient for you. And if you would like to, you could give your hat a little stretch just to make sure that it lays nice and flat on your head. And this is where I was talking about the tails that you crochet over. That's 2 less strands that you have to weave in, so I think it's just a little more convenient, but I will say just pull that little taut and then chop it off and it'll be fine. I throw myself in the washer, so, you know, if you need any tips on how to weave in and not be scared of your stuff falling apart, I will say I go by a 2 to 3 direction rule, maybe even 4 if you're feeling like you want to do that, but I always weave in at least 2 directions, because if you think about it, whenever your stuff is going through the washer or you're hand washing, you might be like scrubbing it or it's getting pulled in certain ways, and the likelihood that your crochet project is getting pulled in 3 separate directions, enough for this tail to come out, is highly unlikely. So if you just commit to going 3 separate directions, like up, down, left, then your crochet projects will survive in the wash, I promise. The only time something has unraveled on me is when I was too lazy to weave it in correctly, and everything else that I've made, it has gone through the wash so many times and it's been fine. Alright, and then once you've woven those ends in, the last thing you need to do is attach where we were in the round. So because we did a foundation double crochet, you just have to attach it right there, unless that doesn't bother you, but it does bother me. So I take a strand of yarn and I will just connect those 2 pieces of the foundation double crochet. But after that, your hat is completely done. I think this is a very quick project. I got this done in a day. It usually takes a couple of hours, and this is what the finished hat looks like. If you would like to see a try on of it, I do have it on my TikTok at the Hat Shack. And I actually really enjoyed making this video. If it was helpful for you, please let me know. Of course, I would love to film more tutorials in the future. And again, my patterns are free, pay what you can, which means you can put any amount into the pattern to get it. And once the videos are out, the patterns become 99 cents, but still pay what you can. I try to make it as accessible as possible, since once you learn how to crochet, you are able to dissect any pattern pretty much. So I don't really see the point in charging. But that will be all for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!